Thanks for coming on. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Yeah, everything's going well. How you guys doing over there?
We're hanging in, you know,
Yeah. Yeah,
doing the best
hanging
we
in.
can. Yeah.
Yeah, I hear you. I know it's tough, but you guys, I mean, especially the people on Main Street, you guys seem like you're adapting pretty well as far as like doing the brunch crawls and the virtual bar crawls and stuff like that. How's
Yeah, for
how's that
sure.
been working out?
For sure. I mean, our business is primarily takeout.
Okay.
So, 90% of our business is normally takeout, even in the best case scenarios.
Mhm.
Right now, that's still the case. Obviously, dining room shut. Just the sheer amount of people that are out, and people who are at work and going to get lunch normally, like, which is our big crowd. Our lunch rush is usually the biggest.
Yeah.
It's just not there like the way it usually is.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just, so sales are just down. So it forces us to really be innovative and think outside the box, do some things we maybe wouldn't have, make us push the envelope, come up with new products, new ways to drive revenue. Really, so part of it's awesome because you're forced to, it's amazing what you can do when you have to do it.
Yeah.
Um, so some of it is stuff that maybe we're a year away from, but now with this happening, it's like, all right, get your ass in gear and get
Trial
going.
and error.
Exactly. Throw stuff against the wall and see what sticks.
Yeah, where did that idea come from to do like the brunch crawl and the virtual bar crawl? Do you know where that like all started from?
I mean, so my partners own the tap room as well. So we're one big restaurant group, tap room, and Bango bowls.
Okay.
So they were doing it. I know that like somebody started in Patchogue. They tried it. We made some slight variations.
Okay.
And then we grew up with Anthony from Coastal and Verde. So
Mhm.
we're all in like the same core high school group of friends.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, so we're just spitballing, talking to each other, figuring out what we could do, and then all of us combined. Obviously, it's a pretty diverse, like, different offering that we can come together with.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of they started doing the bar crawl. I was like, all right, what can we do for Bango? Brunch makes sense, and then just kind of took off from there. And then we're just kind of keeping fresh every week, trying to do different iterations and variations so people don't get stale and they want to keep coming back.
Yeah.
But it's been really successful.
Yeah, no, I listen, I think it's a great idea. It's funny. My wife was telling some of her friends that live in Queens in the city about it. And they were kind of surprised because, the city's always like so innovative, and they
Yeah,
were surprised that more restaurants and bars near them weren't doing the same thing.
yeah.
So I thought it was cool to see that, Bayshore was doing it,
Yeah, I
you
mean, it's
know?
really cool. Like, we have a big Mother's Day brunch coming up,
Okay.
where we partnered with Hometown Flowers, Bayshore Bean, it's Bango and Coastal, and
Mm,
then North Fork Donut Company as well.
cool.
The spread's awesome. It's super cheap. You get a ton of value. It's like $85 with flowers and delivery, and full meal easily feed 2 to 4 people.
Nice.
Um, we've already sold almost 200 tickets.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow. So it's
so
working.
it's working, and most men aren't gonna buy anything until 2 days before. So
Yeah. I know my wife was just yelling at me today. She's like, come on, you got to buy your mom something. I'm like,
exactly,
okay.
exactly.
um,
I had to tell my wife I have to work on those days.
yeah. I wanted to ask you, listen, I know kind of what you do and what Bango Bowls is, but for people that might not know, what's kind of your role at Bango Bowls, and what does Bango Bowls offer?
Yeah, man. I'll give you a little bit backstory of
Okay,
me
cool.
and the company and kind of where we came, where we were and where we are now.
Mhm.
So we started Bengal Bowls about 3 years ago. As I mentioned, my partners own the tap room. So our first location was in Massapequa Park, in a little 300 square foot space right next to the tap room.
Mhm.
At the time, I worked in digital advertising. I actually worked for LinkedIn for about 7 years.
Oh, wow.
So I worked for a small digital advertising company. We were acquired by LinkedIn. So then we went into LinkedIn, and I stayed there for a while. Great company to work for. I learned a ton of stuff, learned a ton of things about scale. So my background is really marketing and software. And then, like I said, I grew up with Jamie, who owns the tap room. We've been friends for like almost 20 years now at this point. I'm getting old. So I wanted to do something in the city, just kind of like a side income, nothing major. He didn't want to go into the city, but he said, "Hey, I got this little space next to the tap room. Let's try it here." Long story short, we opened. I mean, it killed me. This was before Acai was popular.
Yeah.
Soul Bowl was the only other guy who was doing it, and we only had one store in Sayville.
Mhm.
So we were, lying around the corner. It was crazy.
Yeah.
So we're like, all right, this is a real business. Let's open a few more. So we opened 4 or 5. We opened 6 in 1 year, pretty much, a year and a half.
Wow.
So it was just like crazy scale, crazy fast. And then it just got to the point where it was like Jamie and Dave were expanding tap room. At that point they only had the 2 locations. Now they have 3 locations plus some beach spots on Ocean Parkway. It was like, we can't operate this anymore. So my wife and I were living in the city at the time. We're from out here. We wanted to move back out here. So I said, you know what? I'll take on the role of president of Bango Bowls, and I'll oversee the entire operation. And I'll leave LinkedIn, and that'll be my main gig. Very cool. Fast forward to today, my main role is overseeing the entire operation at Bango Bowls.
Very nice.
I wear a lot of hats some days just because, now we have 7 stores. We have general managers and management teams in each store, but I oversee the operation across the board.
Gotcha. What I find the social media marketing, which I've really never talked about on any of these podcasts before, I find it very interesting. Coming from the LinkedIn side of things, what do you think? 'Cause I'm a business owner too over in Melville. What do you think something a local business owner could do now to help? Maybe do something on LinkedIn. You know what I mean? Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, socials is honestly everything. The bang for the buck, specifically on Facebook. Like, if you send a mailer out, you're going to spend $1,300. You spend $1,300 on Facebook, you're going to get in front of 10, 15, 20,000 people. So the scale that's achievable with Facebook for the cost is like next to none. And that's the same with Instagram, LinkedIn. All those kind of things. LinkedIn's a little bit more expensive, and it really is. It's a niche audience. You're going to pay for the folks you're getting in front of. But historically, B2B products are a lot more expensive. If you're going to sell a $20,000 software, it's okay to pay $200-$300 for a lead, because if you close that, it's a big deal. Your sales cycles are much longer. So the same with anything. Like, you could apply to B2B and B2C. B2B, it's a longer content cycle. You need to continue to educate your audience, using webinars and ebooks and white papers and all that kind of stuff to get them warm and then get them to purchase. Where B2C, there's a lot of, live impulse buying, where, people you see something, buy something. The friction point is a lot less, $12 opposed to $20,000, big difference. So, in my honest opinion, and shameless plug to myself, I also own a small media agency called Pit Media. Where we work with small businesses to do just what you spoke about. Just help them understand what's out there for them, what's attainable. There are tons of small businesses that don't know how to track any marketing. They don't know. They spend money, but they don't know where to tie it back to. They don't know how to find out what their cost per lead is, or where they're getting leads from. There's a ton of things out there, and there are marketers who are way more sophisticated and technical than I am, and we are at Bango Bowls. But there's definitely an in between as well. Just for most people, it's just being on the channels, to be honest.
There's so many different. So many different levels to it. Like you said, I mean, with Facebook, the way I use it for just the podcast, this interview, I'll take it, I'll put it on the Facebook Bayshore group. And then usually what I'll do is literally I'll only put maybe $5 to $10 at most, but I'll target promoting the podcast in a 5-mile radius around Bayshore. This way the Bayshore community sees it. And it's crazy. $5, it could get it in front of 1,000 people.
Yeah. Within those $5, all you got to do is get in front of the right people. And, one person can really make a massive difference.
If
they share it, if they like it, Like, I always tell the story. I have a good friend of mine who's actually from Bayport. He's a writer for Family Guy, lives out in LA. And when he was just starting out, he had a really small Twitter following, but, he met Sarah Silverman at a party, and she thought he was so funny. He tweeted something. She retweeted a thing and said, "Hey, follow this guy. He's so funny." Next thing you know, he's got 100,000 followers on Twitter.
That's so crazy.
Sometimes it only takes one person to really grow you.
And didn't Coastal had a celebrity come by? Was it last summer? I remember something.
I think Katie Holmes was in there one time eating lunch.
Yeah,
I don't know if that. I mean, you got people coming over Fire Island, so Bayshore's really been a hub. I mean, for us here at Bango, like we've seen the town grow like immensely. When we first opened, it was the business was good, but it wasn't anything where it is today. A lot of that has to do with some other things we have going on with our menu expansion and that kind of things. But like the business has really grown here, and you see the town, even with this pandemic going on, like being in between the two hospitals, Good Sam and Southside Hospital, like that's been really strong for us. We've been trying to do everything we can to raise money to feed the frontline workers. But that's like for us, like outside of the pandemic, that we would want to feed them regardless because of all the work they're doing. But from a business standpoint, like that's my target audience. Mostly I'd say primarily women from 25 to 35 years old who are nurses, PAs, doctors. I want to get my food in their hands because some of them haven't tried it before. And we're a healthy option. You go to the hospital now and you talk to everyone. They're so thankful that everyone's donating food, and they're so grateful. They're like, I can't eat another piece of pizza.
Yeah, or another cheeseburger.
Yeah, exactly. So when we come, they're like, they're psyched. We drop smoothies, we drop salads, our acai bowls. They're really psyched to kind of get something different, healthy, quick and easy, and light. Doesn't really weigh you down.
Yeah, that's really cool. How does is there something set up in Bayshore now? I don't know if it's tied to you guys or somebody else where just people in the local community can like donate to help.
Yeah, there are a few Facebook groups that are being organized. I know Islip Seeds is one. I know West Islip had one called Lemons to Lemonade. There's a few different ones that are raising money, and then they'll contact the restaurant and say, hey, we have this much money. What can you do from a food standpoint? And then we'll deliver it. Outside of that, we're doing some of our own things. We have a support our health heroes catering packages campaign kind of running, where we have a few different catering packages available, and anyone can buy them. And they're all extremely discounted. On our end, we're really it's twofold. Like we're trying to feed the healthcare workers, and we're also trying to get our staffs back to work because we had to lay off about 95% of our teams during this. So the more catering we can do, the more people we can get back to work, and the more people we can feed as well. That's been really awesome. Successful.
Where people can just get that on the website?
Yeah, you can get it on our website. You can email catering@bangobowls.com. The package is available on our Instagram. That's been really successful so far.
Very cool. Very cool.
We're doing another thing where we're selling hoodies. We partnered with, our t-shirt guy, MK Designs, who's in Bohemia. We partnered with him where we're selling sweatshirts for $35. All proceeds are going towards food that is going to the front lines. Sweet.
And we get those online as well?
Yep.
I'm buying one.
Yeah, the link's actually in our Instagram profile. Buy a hoodie.
Okay, cool. Melissa, I just wanted to ask you another thing related to business. I know you told me kind of how you got into it. And I just wanted to ask you because I was talking about this the other day, and, what inspired me to get into the industry I'm in, has evolved a lot over the years because I started when I was 21 years old. So over 10 years. Okay. What inspired me is still sort of the same, but it's evolved over the years, So I just wanted to ask you the same question. Was there something that inspired you to get into the restaurant industry specifically? And has that changed over time?
I mean, I always kind of grew up in it. Like out of all my core friends, my high school friends, I mean, more than half of them are bar and restaurant owners. There's so many people in the business, and it's just like how we grew up. Like our family were in the bar and restaurant business. Our friends were always in the bar and restaurant business. We always liked to drink, so we were always in bars and restaurants. So it kind of evolved. I always worked in restaurants growing up. And then some of the guys stayed in it. I personally went and tried something else, and I worked in sports for a little while. Then I worked obviously in technology and software. But I've always, have that entrepreneurial itch. Like I've left. Me and Jamie actually owned a small advertising company when we were 23. We did bathroom advertising where you put, if you were going to the bathroom in a urinal, you saw a static print ad right in front of your face. It was called All Over Media. That was us.
All right.
We did that when we were super young. It was a good little business, but we broke apart. We did different things. He started opening the tap room and concentrating on that, and I was doing everything else. So like the restaurant space wasn't always like my prime focus. It's just where I guess the most opportunity I knew of, and where it's kind of the ducks kind of aligned,
Yeah, and you like trying new things. It sounds like
I
I have a very similar mindset. Like I love trying new things. Sometimes my wife is like, "Your mind's all over the place," but it's just
same.
something I love.
Same, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm inherently like a risk taker as well. Like it drives my wife crazy. But I made good money at LinkedIn. I had a great, nice, cushy job, but like I knew what my ceiling was there. Like here, I don't know what my ceiling is, so I'm all about taking that risk, and I get to do different stuff every day, which I love.
Yeah, which is awesome because you always have like a new challenge, right?
Absolutely.
I feel like having that aspect of it, having a new challenge to go after is like, I think that's the main thing.
But listen, I know we did. Every day.
Yeah, I know we did almost 15 minutes already. I just wanted to ask you one last thing, especially since you have the LinkedIn background as well. Is there any good advice that you could give to a local business owner that maybe could help them on social media or just on the restaurant side of things?
Yeah, man, I think it really is about being active and differentiating yourself. The restaurant business is a terrible business. I think everyone knows that. The ones that are good at it are the ones who pay attention to their numbers, and the ones that are extremely active. The ones that are doing more stuff than anyone else. Obviously, having a good product is number one, but being active is such a big part that many people miss. Like doing things like Instagram stories that show behind the scenes stuff and showing different menu items. I think in the restaurant, exactly, the restaurant industry, if you stop and think you've got to figure it out, you're dead. Because you have to continue to evolve. Like we rotate new menu. Like we've evolved our menu like so much here. We were just acai bowls and smoothies, and then we started selling poke, and then we started selling salads. Then we started making our own dressings, cooking in house. It's like, and you just have to keep doing that and keep evolving, even though like you constantly have to be put out of your comfort zone. None of us really have a culinary background. We all like to eat, but none of us have a culinary background. So bringing in people that know more than you do and just continue to push you out of your comfort zone, I think is the biggest challenge and the most important. And then using that, everything you do is building content, right? Like you talk about social media, like all those different things we talked about, like bringing in new dressings, right? That's a new process, like documenting some of that process and then sharing it with your viewers. Like that's important stuff because it's all content. Social media is all about content.
Yeah, exactly. And just engaging with the community, right?
Exactly.
All right, man. Well, listen, this was awesome. It was nice meeting you. Like I said, thanks again for hopping on. It was nice to meet you, and I'm sure we'll stay in touch in the future. All right?
Yeah, sure.
All right, dude.
See you soon. Thanks so much. Bye.
No problem. Bye.